Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this blessing of the evening that we have here together. Just thank you for each and every individual here and for every individual we have and every family that we have in this community. We pray for your guidance and wisdom tonight. Help us make decisions that reflect your heart for each one of us. And in this week, as we celebrate Valentine's Day this Friday, just help us be mindful of how you love us and how you call us to love one another and how you call us to care for one another and have compassion on one another, to be kind to one another, to be gracious to one another, to be forbearing of one another. All the things that you ask, that you set the example for us, help us to follow that out in this community and help us to be set apart from all those around us in the way that we treat others. We give you all the thanks and praise and glory. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, Amy, if you would, roll call.
Gary Elliott.
Here.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Hyde.
Here.
Jim Freeman.
Here.
All right. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the consent agenda and the amendment that Amy has addressed regarding the Rock House. So if you have any other questions or comments.
I have a couple of comments. I didn't see, I'm not sure what time she sent the amendments, but I don't recall seeing them. I just noted two little items there. One was that there were more people in attendance than listed in the minutes. And they're clearly visible on the K.I.S.S TV recording, so you might want to add those names.
Okay. If they don't sign up, we
There's
don't
nothing
always
she can do
get
about
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gotcha. All right. And the second one is that the name of the, and I don't know this person, I'm not sure what the names are, but it seemed like the name of the CEO of Junto was Ramon Armand, not Ramon Junto. Right? Junto is the name of the company, right?
Oh, correct. Correct.
So the minutes have his name as Ramon Junto. It's Ramon Armand, A-R-M-O-N-D. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's all I have
Okay.
on the consent
Could you
agenda.
spell that again, please?
Last name is Armand, A-R-M-O-N-D, and I just got that from your email.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, I'll make that correction.
With said amendments, do we have a motion?
I'll move we accept the consent agenda with amendments.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Agenda approved as presented with the said amendments. We do have a special presenter on the agenda tonight, Playground Paradise. And Sarah, are you ready for me yet, or would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're ready.
Would you mind, guys, if you don't mind, could you, one of you give a brief, or maybe you've already got that planned, an overview of what Playground Paradise is for those watching that may not be familiar with what you're doing?
Well, we'll talk about it in our slideshow a
Super.
little bit, but Playground Paradise is basically an effort between the students, which is like our group, and a lot of other students with the city to revitalize Harder Park and get new playground in Harder Park. So that's basically like an overall what our goal is. But we'll go in more depth in it in our section.
Perfect. Thank you, thank you. The floor is yours.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Brianna Williams, and I would like to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to our Playground Paradise project proposal. And I'm the project manager, and the reason why I joined this group is because I wanted to create better opportunities for our community.
My name is Emma Blankley. I'm also a senior, and the reason I joined this project was to enhance Union City's quality of life.
My name's Ava Reichert, and I'm a freshman in Union City, and the reason I joined this group was because I want children to have a safer place to play. I'm sure many of you in the room have children, grandchildren, or younger family member. Have you ever wanted to take them to a park? Have you ever taken them to a park that you thought was unsafe? This is something our community struggles with. Families don't typically like to take their children to the park because, as in the photos, there are pieces of broken equipment. This is unsafe for the children to play on, and this is a problem that needs to be solved.
Playground Paradise is a collaborative effort between students and our city to revitalize Harder Park.
So our overall goal for this project is to create an inclusive, safe, and ADA accessible park in Union City.
So one of our other major goals within this project is to increase our quality of life and place within our community. by increasing the quality of life that gives our community members a sense of belonging. So some ways that we can do this is having a park and good equipment for children to play on. It gives them good physical and mental health. It also builds our economic growth, so when families and other people from surrounding communities come into our community to play on this playground equipment, it helps our local businesses. It also gives us stronger community bonds and helps build social skills within our community.
So why is this project necessary? The installed equipment that's out there right now, my parents or my grandparents used when they were kids. So there's broken swings, we have mold growing on all the equipment, and right now it's not ADA accessible, which we would like to incorporate in our new park. So that's what we're kind of looking to improve on.
So for this project, we plan on doing this in phases. This is phase 1. That picture is our 2 to 5 structure. This includes several benches and sensory items. It also has a swing set along with it, which encompasses a mommy and me swing, an ADA accessible swing, along with your traditional swings.
So the location that we're wanting to locate our new park at would be behind the Union City Pool, out from under the trees and in the sun. We're looking to create pathways and sidewalks from the pool parking lot connecting back to the park, so that way kids who are in wheelchairs can get back there, and it might improve that for us.
So one of our other goals is also implementing sidewalks that have sensory activities on it. This can help children and families that struggle with sensory issues. If you aren't aware of sensory issues, this can be anything with disabilities like autism, or just anyone that gets overstimulated or needs a sensory item to play with, or those that can't actually play on the equipment itself.
So beneath our equipment, we are going to put a rubber pour and play. We chose this rubber pour and play surface because it's easy accessible for everybody and also has a 8-foot protection vault, which will help limit children from injuries.
So what can we do with $320,000? So just like Ava said, our phase 1 is listed at right around $320,000. So this includes the surfacing, the 2 to 5 structure, the swing sets, some sensory items, and some benches. So right now we are working with My Community, My Vision. It's a $35,000 matching grant. It actually started today and will end in March. So any funds that are given to us now will go towards our matching grant.
So our total project cost is a little over $1 million, which that includes everything in the photo, which is the 2 to 5 structure, the 5 to 12 structure, double trolley, swing set, as well as benches and sensory items.
This is just a start to our project. In future years, we plan to redo the basketball courts, redo the soccer fields, and eventually add a splash pad.
So if you guys are curious what we do behind the scenes, in our project we're split into 4 different groups at our school location. So we have the marketing group. So the marketing group does social media posts. They create the t-shirts that we're all wearing, flyers, and then we have the grant writing group, which searches for grants online to help benefit us and bring in some more funds. Then we have the fundraising group, which is also working on chicken dinners, which is on Saturday. So if anyone wants any tickets and haven't got them yet, we still have a few available. And then we have the presentation group, which is the 3 of us, and then we have a couple more, and we go to local businesses and organizations to ask them for their help and support us in our project.
So our total donations and community support currently is $15,000 plus in-kind donations. If you're wanting to donate, you can send cash or checks and make payable to the City of Union City, and on the memo line, write Playground Paradise. You can also donate virtually by scanning the QR code, and we're always looking for in-kind donations, so we're looking at local businesses to donate service to take out the equipment. And also we want to make sure this is a very community involvement, so we want your feedback on how we did in the presentation to enhance it and make it better.
So overall, we would just like to say thank you for taking time out of your day to help support us and listen to our presentation. Any help is greatly appreciated. Lead the laughter, be a playmaker for Playground Paradise. Now we'd like, if anyone has any questions questions, suggestions, anything for us,
Yeah, feedback.
we'll help.
anything.
We'll try our best to answer them.
Who's
but-
collecting the money?
So we are working with the city. So any money that is given to us, we have the city, and they keep it. The city ladies, they'll help us and they keep it, just so that everything is ran. Okay.
So we give a check to the city, Market Playground?
Yeah, you can. You can bring it into the city building, or you can bring it into our school, and they'll give it to us, and then we'll transport it to the city.
You guys aren't a 501c3, correct? Okay. Got the head shake. I wanted to make sure because that could make a difference. In some people, you know.
Yes or no?
No, we aren't.
The background on the relocation of the equipment, is that something that you guys have been given insight on from the, not the EDA, what's the environmental?
DNR.
DNR, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. DNR.
So,
Go ahead.
so the equipment does have to be out from under the tree canopy. It has to be in the sun.
Yep.
So the sun can kill the bacteria on the equipment. So that's kind of like mandatory, not optional.
Yeah, exactly. That's requested from Department of Natural Resources for starters, and so that's been a change. That we grew up like shade was great, but yeah. So if anybody's wondering why the relocation, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and then there's some shade features on it.
Yes, that would
aid
still.
that
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
So and obviously accessibility, I think would be better though anyway, because I spent good grief. I was out there all weekend working the lights, and it's amazing how many families will park, but then they have to walk all the way across over to that.
Quite a walk.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's water problems.
Yes,
mud
yeah.
And various things. So
Yep.
I think that's going to be one of the things is to get the accessibility to where it's not only good for like handicap accessibility, but for general
Yeah.
accessibility.
Bingo.
And make it a little more all weather.
Yes. Bingo. Bingo. What's that,
There's a
Sarah?
dip
Strollers
right-
and wagons.
Yes. Yes.
And there is a dip right there. So when it rains a lot, like water does accumulate
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah. Where and with that location, if you're looking to the right of that location is a pretty significant downhill elevation change. So there's drainage should be fairly easy to navigate drainage out of that area.
For sure. For sure.
A little
yes.
bit of a challenge with some of the elevation, but I think they can make that work
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, we actually just met with the person that is working with us, and they were just talking about having us work with our engineer to change those elevations since it's such a big
Yeah.
dip.
In terms of critique. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question?
Yes, and the old equipment, is there any of it that can be refurbished, and repaired?
Yeah.
So, well, I haven't been out there for a long time.
I have.
Well, it's a question.
It's dangerous. There's pieces out there that should have been removed.
Yeah, what my suggestion would be is if somebody from an artist standpoint wants to repurpose that stuff, not where it would be played, equipment to be played on,
Like an artist.
yeah, could repurpose it for something to look at, and a good example of that is if you've ever been to the City Museum in St. Louis, Missouri. It's phenomenal. That's a huge building that's just dedicated to nothing but repurposed stuff throughout the city, and it's amazing. I mean, it's a place that's packed all the time. It draws kids in, and they repurpose all kinds of things.
And maybe that would be a good thing to do, get one of our local artists to get involved
Yep.
with that, refurnish, and then that be the entrance to your new playground.
Maybe make an archway or something.
Out of the pieces.
It could anything's possible for sure. But yeah, in terms of playing on, yeah, unfortunately,
I
it's
see them now.
not often. Yeah, in terms of critique, you guys did a great job pulling in some of the personal elements, of how it affects you guys and family and so forth. And so anytime you can connect with the audience from a personal standpoint and let them see your heart when you talk to them. So, I mean, that's awesome. You guys did great.
Thank you.
Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Did I miss it, or what's the timeline for phase 1? Do you have one?
So we're hoping that we can get the phase 1 in the ground by the fall of 2025. So that's our goal.
So you've sort of showed some prices or budget levels, and I know you're receiving donations. What's like, how far are you along the way to getting all you need, all that's needed?
So we have already the $15,000, and then we're also working with My Community, My Vision. So if we get that $35,000 matching grant, we get double that. Then we're also partnered with the city, and then we're also next week going to the county commissioners to ask for a pretty hefty amount. So we are praying that we get that amount. But there's a couple different things that we're really striving for to hope that we can bring in those costs.
And are any of you, or do they know yet about the 21st or that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope.
Good.
There's
Well,
another grant in the
you're going to
pipeline.
find out about another opportunity. I told Sarah I'd reach out to Health Care Network. That's very local. Because one of the things we can do to strengthen this story is think about all the different avenues that benefit that can be achieved through this. And one of them is cardiovascular. Kids getting out, playing, adults going with them, getting out, walking, being outside, getting physical activity, and that's huge. And we see, unfortunately, less and less of that nowadays. There's more things to do in the park now than there ever has been, and I can speak to that with authority because I've lived here all my life. Between the disc golf and the pickleball and you name it, there's a lot of things out there to do. They're not always taken advantage of the way they should be. But this is one thing that if we can get kids out there, which kids will take advantage of that for sure, and that promotes cardiovascular health. And if you promote cardiovascular health and you can improve people's well-being from a health perspective, then you help a health network improve their measures because they are graded on how well they help keep a community healthy. They really are. Because the insurances at the end of the day don't want to be paying for your grandparents or your parents or you guys someday to have a hospital visit due to heart attack or whatever the case may be. So anything we can do to improve that, and this is a narrative that fits that. So that's one thing we're going to be having a meeting in a couple weeks that hopefully one of or two of you will be available to meet with a healthcare representative and have this kind of lay this out there because it's going to be the first step of many to get up the food chain, if you will, to the top of the company. So,
Going back to
yes.
the question about how much money was raised, as Bree mentioned, the $35,000 grant. So if we can get that $35,000, match that, so that'd be $70,000 towards this goal to go along with the 15 that we already have. We're hoping that this group, this student group, with the help of many around them, but taking the lead on this, that they can raise around a half of that amount. So we're just asking for the city to support us in this effort and this goal, and there will be an ask for financial support. The total, as they mentioned, for this whole phase is $1 million. And if we think about how old the playground equipment that we have now is, 70 years old, if you take that $1 million and you divvy it up over 70 years, it's only about $14,000 a year. So it's a small investment to make for the quality of life, to bring families into communities that are going to have a place to grow. Their children and their families have a place to grow up in.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Well put. Yes.
Is there a park budget? Does the park already have a budget that you can draw from?
We have a park budget we could draw a little bit from, but more would have to come from other areas. So our park budget normally is fairly, well, you might have.
It's tight. The park budget right now is pretty much just for the upkeep of the park and paying salaries for the upkeep and the pool and different things like
Restrooms
that.
and yeah.
Doesn't have any real
And
provisions
going
for
along with that,
improvements.
sometimes
Right.
there's a question about the upkeep. This is a group that is an ongoing group with the Workforce Wednesday initiative that we have at Randolph Eastern Schools. So this group could potentially go out and monitor this playground equipment and say, hey, these things we need to work on this, or we need to maybe clean this up, and they can help with that as well. So that would hopefully help with some of the upkeep on this equipment as well.
Very good.
Did you all ask for a grant from Walmart?
We have not. I don't think so, have we?
There's Walmart, there's a foundation hospital in Winchester. Go to the community foundation and ask them where. There's another place to ask for money, the community foundation.
Have you guys
That's all
approached?
you can think of.
Yeah.
You're a 501c3. Subaru of Indiana might well give you $10,000 if you ask for it. Word it right. There's a lot of money out there.
Have we approached the community foundation yet?
We've looked into it.
Okay.
Yeah, we looked into it last fall, but their grant process was closed at that time.
Okay.
It's open now, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
I did
Thank
check,
you.
but I believe it may be.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, anything that you guys know of that we can pursue, that's definitely helpful.
You can do that Subaru online. Just sit down at your computer and hang it out.
We'll make sure to do that. We'll
Make-
send it back next week on Wednesday.
And make sure they know it's coming from kids.
We will. We found those grants. Thanks to some help.
Any other questions? Well, great job. Very well done.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Sarah, I know you guys got a
Yes, I
Mosey,
got to
don't
pick
you?
Tinley up from dance.
Yeah.
Dropped her off early.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
guys again.
Thanks again.
Well done.
Thank you.
Department reports. I don't have anything at the moment. Amy, anything that?
No, I do want to thank Tito for pointing out the rock error on that, because it was much easier to fix it before. You know, switch the numbers around, get them into the right category. So that was greatly appreciated.
You're good. Council members. Tito, we'll start with you.
I have two kind of longish questions, but one was mostly for Steve. So maybe should I go ahead and put it out there in case maybe you've got the details and can respond. One is about I have a question about the ABM contract.
Yeah, we covered that in our last council meeting.
Right,
So-
but I have follow-up questions.
What's the? Oh, well, you can.
So I was glad to hear that he'd said that we'd closed out the ABM agreement in the final closeout meeting. He said the scope of work is done. So does that mean the scope of work is fully written? Or does that mean that all of the work of that contract is complete?
The latter.
All of the work of the,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that means that we have solar panels on the city building now?
Yes. Correct.
And the south water plant, the north water plant, and the wastewater treatment plant. And I loved to hear about the bi-directional meters, so that when we produce more electricity, it actually feeds back into the electrical grid and takes some of the kilowatt hours off our bill. I think we need to try, yell success a little more so the public can sort of, get it that we're working for them. But I thought it was a multi-year contract, and so we've come up with just 1 year now. I don't know. I thought that we were going to be paying, I don't know, something like $500,000 every year for I don't know how many, 10 to 15 or more years. Is that over? Is that not happening?
No, it's just
Yeah,
begun.
we're
Well,
ready to make the first payment.
That's
Yeah.
the financing side, which that's payment to the financing for that.
Okay, so the work is done.
The
So
work is
we're
done.
paying at FEB. Okay. Okay, just wanted to understand that.
Now there's correct me if I'm wrong there, but there's some reporting and because ABM has some
They continue.
warranty guarantees, so there's going to be a continual communication
Right.
with that over the course of that period. That's how long is that period? I can't.
It's
That
over
might be-
years.
Yeah,
Because
over a
they
number of years.
report they provide a specific report, which was including a pack on the electric.
Like monitoring
Yeah,
the
correct.
functioning and stuff like that?
Correct.
Because I just remember it was like 15 to 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to understand that a little
14,
better.
14, I think it is.
Okay. Let's see. I also had there was a follow-up question from the public about the owner-occupied rehab program grant application. So we had a public hearing about the grant application for that program, and I was absent, right? But there was a resolution approved to fund $40,000 as a matching grant if we were to receive that grant. And Mr. Jeff Huntwork, he commented on the KISS TV page, Facebook, social media, y'all, under our meeting video, and he said, "How about instead of applying for house repair grants, we get street repair grants?" He said the streets in this town are terrible. All the city does is throws gravel on them and move on.
That's false.
Let's focus on things that affect taxpayers. Empty houses don't affect us. So anyway, I wanted to say one thing to Mr. Huntworth and everybody that when I went house to house during my first campaign for city council back in 2019, lots of people were concerned about housing. And lots of those people said that, hey, we used to have some kind of program where we could get like a grant or some assistance from the city to help, rehabilitate our homes. Right. And so I think in my communication with the mayor and others you all heard these things too, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that we're doing this is a response to public demand.
Right.
That's one thing. So further question is that's one major thing I needed to clarify. Also, are there grants specifically available for street repair?
We've been doing that for years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
CCMG.
do basically community crossings grants twice a year.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you
Well, like
dollar totals, but like any of these paving projects that we've done are generally community crossings.
And it's not gravel. Oak is
And-
paved. Part of Oak is paved. Part of Union is paved. Part of Plum is
Plum,
paved.
Plum,
the next one
and
is
Howard.
division from Walnut to Mulberry is the next one.
up.
Yeah, that will be done this. Yeah.
And that's grant funding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we do
We-
any street based on sort of from the general fund or from?
Well, we use our funds to match the grant requirement.
Aha.
So it's
we
so
multiply.
it stretches our
Because
dollar.
if-
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Because
stretches
if
our
we
dollar.
used our funds, like, let's take for example that $40,000 that's the match on the housing grant. If we took that to use for paving, we'd do a block. We wouldn't do a block.
Yeah.
The
Right.
cost of paving is just outrageous. So
Yep.
we use that, what funds we do use as a match. Now, there again, it's kind of you have to make some choices on what all you're gonna do, but the housing grant as its function, and we haven't done that for how many years, Chad?
Been a while.
Early on.
So it wasn't available for a few
It wasn't
years.
available for quite a while. We did a number, did those back in the early teens, and then it became unavailable. So now it's back on. It's run by Okra, which is, I think, being Okra running this is going to be a lot more responsive, and this is also an ongoing thing. Which one of the things I was going to comment with this, with what you're saying when you brought that up, is that I asked Steve a little bit earlier today about applications. Should people still be applying for this, or are we full up with applications? And he basically encouraged people to go ahead and keep applying, even if they might not get funded on this grant round, because we should be successful on this, and all pretty likely.
Yeah.
It'd be unlikely that we weren't, and there's going to be another follow-up and another follow-up. This is going to be an ongoing thing. So, and we as a community, because of the way this is graded, always fit in terms of the dollar amounts, or with our standard that we are in this community. I'm not sure how to word that properly, but we'll pretty much always be in the hunt for this. So I'm encouraging people to continue to apply, because that'll encourage, the more need they see, the more likely we are to get further down the road and get more grants.
Correct.
And you're talking about bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars into the community, spent in the community, and in property value for people. So enhance their property values, stabilize their homes. And like I commented in the last meeting, was that a lot of people that we gave these grants to many years ago, I can't think of a single instance where the house has gone into disrepair and it was a wasted effort. They've all stayed in the standard they were or above, and some of these people have improved beyond that quite a bit. So it was definitely money well spent.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so just one more question on the roads. So we have a plan, right? We have a
Yeah,
plan
we
of
have
which
to.
roads to, and then we kind of rotate.
The roads are graded, all the streets in town are graded based on need, and they're prioritized based on their grades. That is required for us to be eligible for any of the CCMG funding. And so people, if anybody thinks, oh, they're just randomly picking that road because someone lives there, no. It's all based on according to the grades of the streets.
Right. And then there's one more
As
thing
an
on the,
ABC grade.
Yeah,
Not
yes,
graded
yeah.
level,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, thank you, yeah, good, thank you, good
and
clarity.
then one more thing on the roads is that like
Point
if
out the
it's
fun.
like winter, right, or the rain, like right now, like we're gonna be have a lot of rain for a couple months. I mean, that's not when we would undertake
Right.
a major road repair.
They're not even-
So people will see like gravel or a little bit of, I don't know, tar, I don't know what you call that. I call it chapapote, but I don't know how you say it. The black stuff that kind of sticks in the road. Tar or whatever. Yeah, so they just basically filling the gaps, right? That's why, he said something like, all you do is put a little bit of gravel on there. And say, well, it's because you don't build a road during certain times of the year. Maybe that's what you're seeing. The other question I have is actually based on what you were just saying about the homes. I'm wondering, is it first come first serve for who eventually gets funding when we get the grant, or is it needs based? And I have a follow up question to that.
I don't recall if Greg clarified that last meeting.
No,
Greg Miner?
We don't make the decision.
Yeah, we don't make that decision, but in terms of Boca's grading, I don't remember if it's,
I know when the paperwork was brought in, the girls were stamping it, dating it, and timing, put
Okay.
the time of day that it came in, because there must be some,
in terms of receipt.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My thought would be, and I'll clarify this, Greg, my thought would be it's based on both. They're all received, but just because you were the first one in doesn't mean you qualify. If you're
Right.
asking for new carpet inside, they're not going to fund that. Not that somebody did, but I'm just saying, if it qualifies, it was received first, and that's the first one to be funded, would be my guess. And then the second one, if it qualifies, then it's
This was fairly narrow because it's, the grants that we had in the past would do siding
lot
and some
more.
windows
Yeah.
and things
Yep.
like that. But this
Yeah.
is doing roofing, HVAC, and electrical, I think, are the primary, and I might have left something out. I don't know if
there's only like 4 things now.
yeah, I can't remember if there seemed like there was something else besides HVAC, heating and air conditioning,
Right.
Can we say
Roofing.
windows?
electrical,
Roofing was one.
roofing was one, yeah. And I don't know if there's
Oh, accessibility.
accessibility.
Yeah,
That's right.
that
That's
was
right.
four.
Accessibility.
So,
I'd love to see some weatherization in there too, just from the stand.
I agree.
Be careful how I say that. I don't want to show a conflict, but
But
I
no,
see
you're
the
right.
importance of weatherization.
Yeah, I was
but we'll
disappointed
take
they
what
didn't
we
have
get.
windows and siding because that's huge for.
At least
homes.
windows are
Yes.
extremely important.
Yeah.
I
Windows
hate
and
to
doors.
see that left out. But
My other question is like, well, I mean, not everybody follows the city council meetings, and there are people who are more needy out there who may not have access to some way to download the application form and fill it out electronically and like that. So I'm wondering if there might be a way that we can help out a few of those of our residents who, I mean, one, may not even know about it, and second, don't really have the wherewithal to write up a proposal or an application. Does that make sense?
yeah,
I believe that was touched in the very beginning, because, in fact, I think, I may be wrong, but I'm thinking Steve actually physically took some applications to people and helped them fill them out if they called into the, and if they didn't, exactly what you were saying, didn't have access online or,
Okay.
so, I'm pretty sure he did. I mean,
Yeah, I
the girls
think I
up front
remember
in the office
about
would know
that, yeah.
better, but I believe he did actually physically take some applications and go, if they requested it, he went and helped them fill it out.
I thought we put something in the water bill and
We
back the
did.
water bill too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we will
Very
continue to
beginning.
do that for the
Yeah.
subsequent rounds that
Yeah.
we engage in.
That's a good idea. Because I mean, I'm sure if there's someone who's like struggling and can't really do it, I mean, we could get a couple of us, a few of us, to volunteer to You know, I mean, if Steve did that, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
but other people can also do that as well.
Definitely.
That's all I had to.
No, thank you. Tim?
I don't have anything.
Jason?
I do not.
Bob?
I just have some cards here from the Waste Management Group on pollution solutions. And if anybody wants one, I gave some of the council members, anybody wants them after the meeting. New dates for when they open, and all the information that they do at pollution solutions there on State Route 32 in Winchester. And that's all I have.
Thank you for these. That's cool. Gary?
I just have one update. Quite a while back, we had a business, a couple places that wanted to be notified of whenever we had like street closings to know whether, like in particular the churches, you know, so that they wouldn't be scheduling things when, if they didn't know something was happening. And we went around town and found out if anybody was interested business-wise to be on a call list and to see how that would work. The website company that we're using has added, they did not have that at the beginning. We were trying to figure out a way to do it, but now they've added SMS, phone call, and email to their notifications in addition to our live feed of updates to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. So as a test today, I had the spreadsheet of all the businesses that wanted it. So I sent out a test one today. So and the message that I sent out was a phone call, and that if people were getting this and they did not want it, then I gave them a number to call and let us know that that would be the case. Seemed to be very successful. I mean, have anybody called me and tell me they didn't want it. They actually give us analytics on the website on our side that says I sent out 36 phone calls, and 3 of them didn't go through, and then for whatever reason they weren't answered, like no voicemail, just no answer at all, and one of them that was out of service. And so it tells us that information.
That's awesome.
So we
Yeah,
now
that's
have
good.
that ability, and that is set up. We can also add other lists too. I mean, we're unlimited on what list, how many lists we can add, what we can send, you know, to the point we don't annoy people, but anyhow, we have that ability. So
Great
I
job.
just wanted to update on that. So anybody that's watching, if you're not on a call list and you're somewhere where streets might get closed for that particular call list, you know, let us know, and then we can add you to that list.
That's awesome.
Susan had something to say.
The reason it's not answered is because it comes across as Arkansas.
Yeah, it shows it, yeah.
And I will not answer a call
Yeah, it
from
does show it's come from
Arkansas.
yeah, because I had it, obviously it's called my phone
But I
too
did
at the
get a
store.
voicemail on it, so.
Yeah, don't have control over that, but hopefully you went to
No.
voicemail and
It did,
And then
but
you-
that's.
Do you
but
check
I-
your voicemail,
I
Susan?
did.
Okay.
And I was gonna say I got it, but then you just said that you didn't answer it.
Now you're
Well,
on.
no, if it goes to voicemail, it's not.
Call
it
from
counts as a
Arkansas.
call.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
just if there's no voicemail and no answer,
Oh,
it,
okay.
it's a failure.
Sorry.
So, yeah,
Sorry to
no.
interrupt there.
That's good though, Gary.
Well,
Good
but-
job.
But we got confirmed the test, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Person on that, so.
Anything else?
No, not for me.
Mr. Wilson?
All I really have to do add on my part is just one key thing I really want to highlight is just this weekend we had I believe it was called what was it called? It was like the Batathon or something like that. Long story short, it's basically a camp that head coach Jeff Wendell set up to improve bat swings and everything, and multiple students signed up for it. So I mean that's one main thing I really want to highlight, and just what he's done as a coach so far. I feel like he's just bringing in all this like experience and like just giving these opportunities so our like fellow kids can have time to be able to like go and play baseball and like have time to do something else instead of just going home. I feel like that's one main thing I wanted to highlight because I feel like he's doing a really good job of setting up these programs for us and these practices as a first year head coach for our baseball varsity team. So that's really all I have to add on my part. Besides that, I really don't have anything else. So.
Wilson, that's great, because I'm glad you called that out, because a lot of people don't realize he's referring to Jeff Wendell, the owner and operator of Carts and Parts out here at the edge of town. So he not only operates a very, very successful business and pours a lot in his community, but he pours himself personally in the community with the coaching of the kids. Because this is not the first time he's done a camp. I know that for a fact. And he's working very hard with what people in sports fields call the feeder program. It's prepping, the kids for the higher ranks of the program, and so we have a great JV and varsity, year in and year out. So, and the baseball program's been outstanding last several years. So, it's measures like that help create that. So, appreciate you recognizing that. That's awesome. So, what position do you play? Baseball, obviously.
Well, I'm looking into changing my position this year to a catcher.
Okay.
But I play a lot of like outfielding.
That's awesome.
So,
You got good hands. That's
some
awesome.
pitching, but not really. So I'm just like looking into changing the catcher, knowing that our 2 catchers this year are seniors. So I'm looking to step up next year.
That's great. Good job. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Moving on to old business. Second reading. This is ordinance number 2025-01, which is the ordinance amending the salary ordinance as it related to the city manager. This is on the second reading. There's been no subsequent changes since the first reading and its approval. Entertain if there's no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2025-01, ordinance amending salary ordinance as it relates to the city manager by title only on the second reading.
We have a first, and we have a second.
I'll second.
I think that sounds like Bob.
Yep.
Okay. Amy, if you would, roll call vote.
Gary Elliott,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Freeman.
Yes.
And then the update to the new cost projections for Union City drinking water improvements. Steve was going to cover that for us, and he will be addressing that on our next meeting. One of the biggest things with the South Main water loop that we're talking about on the west end of town, we did find out today that this is going to be addressing this, there's probably going to be a potential of a delay in that because of the freeze of the funding across the country with regards to grant. We've got to wait and see how that shakes out from a federal level, and then we know a little bit more from the state level, and then we know more from our level. And so we're just going to be in a holding pattern for the moment. So doesn't mean it's not happening, but it just means that more than likely will be a delay in the process. And then next item is the emergency services salary ordinance amendment request. I'd like to open up to questions. We have Eric on board with us, and well, Eric, yeah, times 2. What questions or comments did you guys have? I know the one thing you guys were ready to vote on this back in the fall, and I was actually the one that went ahead and paused it because I wanted us to convene with the Ohio side. And I actually attended, we were trying to get them to come over here. The schedules didn't align because of the holidays. It was kind of crazy. So I went in and just attended their last Ohio side council meeting on, would have been last Tuesday, I believe it was. And so the premise of my attendance to that was twofold. One, I wanted to announce that the attorneys from both sides are working on a collaborative board. It's an advisory board. They obviously would have no legislative powers or spending powers, but they would be an advisory board comprised of citizens on both sides of the line that would advise both councils for basically emergency services, city works, you name it, street department. And then to enhance communication and transparency and alignment with what everybody's doing. The other thing then was to ensure that we were not going to be playing a game of keeping up with the Joneses between both sides with regard to salaries. And not only were they adamant and vehement and not wanting to do that because that's not something they're truly capable of doing, but the other one is we're trying to align the salaries on both sides, the positions, their pay. So you don't have somebody on one side of the line doing the exact same thing as somebody on the other side of the line and they're getting paid differently. So the scales, we're trying to have the scales the same, if you will.
that makes sense because whether they're from one side or the other, they're serving the entire community.
Correct. Correct. So that's the premise. Eric, if you would.
One thing, I'd like for you not to finish voting on that. There's been a lot of moving parts here over since October. We've had an annual pay raise. I don't even know what you're voting on. I don't know what the numbers are. I have lots of documents that I have numbers on. None of them seem to match anybody's, because nobody seemed to listen to what I said back in July or August about this. So I can't really lend my support to what you're doing until I see the actual document and I can compare it and get those comparisons. But I can assure you this, nobody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. Because I want y'all to be very clear. The Joneses are about $4 to $6 more than us. All we're trying to do is, like you've already identified, you know, I'm a firefighter paramedic. I shouldn't be able to hire a firefighter paramedic tomorrow that makes a different rate than me just because they got hired on the high side of town. Or vice versa,
Right.
however that goes. So that's the only goal here is just what you're identifying, is we're just trying to make this all match up because it makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize, I can't stick around too much longer. Generally, the fire department's doing great, we got no concerns. All of our contracts expire at the end of this year. We're actively working on that process with all the townships. And we got meetings scheduled. I'm hoping to wrap this up early spring because I don't want it to go on until the end of the year. So I'm hoping to have solid answers for Amy and everybody else by mid-year, which those are generally 5-year numbers. We'll be able to lock down as far as that goes. So
That's good.
I had one question, where are we at with the IT/email update change?
Do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, that's not my, I know. That's
Short
not,
answer is
that's
no.
beyond, that's Steve's doing that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know
Okay.
if you had anything either outside of
No, I
Steve
don't-
being here.
yeah, I'm just kinda on the receiving end of that one,
Okay.
so, yeah, sorry. I
Well,
don't
it
know.
kind of hit my mind because I believe one of my computers just threw one of those notices up that says the Office 365 expires like in April.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I
Yeah, it's right
don't
around
want
the
to
corner.
renew that because we're doing something
Right.
globally here. And
Right.
so, yeah, Tita.
So yeah, so okay, so you don't want us to approve because I mean, some interdepartmental.
What I'm saying is, I don't know what
And
you're
it's just,
approving.
Yeah,
it's just under review, it says review under new
Right.
business. We
Yeah.
don't have an ordinance number
Okay.
to vote on, but yeah.
Okay, so we're not actually going to be voting on it.
Yeah, I need to get
But
a
I did
copy
notice-
from Amy so that I can do some look at this.
Yeah, because we've got some, for instance, one of the things we have is some of these numbers are actually, the proposal numbers that are the original proposal are actually lower than where
Yeah.
we're at.
Well,
So,
where the
and
problem
obviously we're
comes
not,
in is the
nobody's gonna be
verbiage.
happy. Right, yeah. So
And
we've got to get that.
We don't
all
have
sorted.
equivalent verbiage,
Yeah.
and that's
When you say
creating
we,
the
you're talking
problem.
about Indiana, Ohio,
Yeah.
or
I'm
fire.
Like within your agency, you've got different verbiage on some of the positions.
the simplest thing. Ohio doesn't differentiate between full and part time. They have a rate. A paramedic gets X. We have 2 rates for a paramedic. We have a part-time rate, we have a full-time rate. So we're trying to get the language to match. And so I'm a firefighter paramedic. I should make more than just a paramedic who's only single certified, and that's all they can do is ride the bus. They can't fight a fire, they can't help us do multiple things. So we're trying to do that little thing right there, and it's only, we're talking pennies. 50 cents may be difference because there's 2 certifications involved and all that stuff. But none of that matches up. So that's why when you write that, it really doesn't correlate to what theirs is. And so we're trying to fix all that little stuff at the same time. Maybe it's not going to work at the same time, but that's really the goal. And now, like, because I talked to Steve right before the meeting, or 30 or 45 minutes, and he told me there was some discrepancies in these numbers. And I'm like, I can't answer your questions because I don't know what you're looking at.
Okay.
So I'd like to see what you're looking at first so that I can have better answers for you, and I don't.
Well, what was sent out, I didn't have any numbers. The only thing I had was a request last Thursday night to put this on, but I didn't have any documentation or numbers to even present to council. So what I gave them was what was presented the first time and just showing what our current rate is. That's all I
Well,
had.
like I said, I deal with a lot of papers and a lot of numbers over 5 months. I think this started last September, October, and I'm not sure which ones you're looking at. So if I can know which ones you're looking at, I'll be glad to put eyes on it and have an answer for you.
Let's have that then clarified for the next meeting. The February
Appreciate it.
24th.
Sorry I can't stay any longer. We got another meeting to attend, see, because they never end.
I just had one more question. Do we
Yes.
have a minimum wage? I saw minimum wage in here.
Well, the documents that were given last year, I think Steve must have pulled these from an old salary ordinance. So a lot of these things don't even apply to our current salary ordinance.
Okay, so this is
So I'm not even sure what that is. I have I have a dollar amount on one of them for somebody that I hire tomorrow that has no certifications. And I might bring them in to do some training or whatever until I can get them trained. And I don't remember what that number is. It might be $10, $10.50. I'm not really sure. So I wouldn't call it minimum wage. That's just the wage for the lowest person on the scale that has not yet obtained any level of certifications, and then they change based on the certifications you obtain, which makes it beneficial to the city and to our department. But we'll circle back to that as soon as I get it.
thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eric. All right. Visitors wishing to address the board, please stand, state your name, address, and nature of business.
Bob Gentry, 521 North Plum Street. I'm concerned about the deficit in the Vision Corner Fund. It's at 3.9 million. And I want to know how are we going to make up that deficit?
We're waiting on our Ready 2.0 funds.
Waiting on what?
Ready 2.0 funds. Well, actually, it's 1.0.
Well,
So
the
that's
first phase of that.
Yeah, that's the first phase of it. And then we're looking to have Vision Corner Board. They've already approved a $1 million payback to the city over 10 years. So it's $100,000 per year. And so that, between that and Ready 1.0 funds, we hope to have most of that recouped. So
That you can understand how that's very concerning, because that money had to come from other sectors of our departments.
Right.
And
Well, it didn't come from departments, it come from the general fund.
Well, yeah, but the general fund pays a whole lot of bills.
Right.
How, I just hate to think that this, what the federal government is doing now is going to affect our Vision Corner.
Right.
Because a lot of that money that we're waiting for on Ready 2 comes ultimately from the federal government. They're just dishing it out from the state. Do you have any assurance from anyone that we're going to get $4 million? Because that's what it is. I mean, it's pushing $4 million. Man, that's a lot of money.
Well, we've got assurance we're getting the $1 million up front.
So we need 3 more.
Correct.
And you're.
Well, we're not going to be able to get the full 3 more, because part of it we have to be on the hook for our match for the Ready Fund. I mean, because that's a 4-to-1 match is what they call for. So, I mean, we've got to have some skin in the game on our end. We can't be expecting everybody else to come in and, But, yeah, we actually, when I said 2.0, that's originally what we were getting funds for. I've had this story so many times.
We're actually going to have 2 draws on one.
Yeah, we Ready 1.0, you have to be 60% funded as a region before you can access Ready 2.0 dollars. okay, we were at, I don't know what it was, 50, we were short.
For the region.
For the region.
No,
When I say
no.
region, that's
Not
8
us
counties.
here, but
That's
the
8
region.
counties. That's Delaware County, that's Henry County, that's Wayne County, that's Randolph County, that's Jay County, that's, I think Blackford's in there, I think. There's 8 contiguous counties. So because they were not at that 60% threshold, Ready 2.0, which funding had already been allocated toward by IEDC, was not accessible. Ready 2.0 funds have already been accessed by like Kokomo over in Howard County because they've met their Ready 1.0 threshold. Our region had not. So HWC, which is the engineering firm that works with the East Central Indiana, I can't think of the full name, the conglomerate of our 8 counties. They're an engineering firm that work with them to make sure all funding is correct in terms of what's submitted by individual project holders throughout the region. So like we're one of those, for example, to make sure that all the invoices we submit are correct and accurate and reimbursable. Okay? So they were on the hook for 2.0, HWC was, the engineering firm. They were not the original firm for 1.0. The person handling it for 1.0 left their post, and so the region reached out to HWC and said, hey, would you help us get over the hump for 1.0 so we can start accessing our 2.0 dollars? Because they're getting a lot of flack from other project holders, including we were one of them, saying we want our money. And so HWC said, why don't you go back to Vision Corner, because they're beyond shovel ready. They're putting the finishing touches on their project. They were promised funding a long time ago. Have them resubmit their invoices for Ready 1.0, and so you can exceed your 60% threshold and start accessing funding for 2.0 for the rest of the region. So I know that sounds convoluted. That's the honest to God truth, the way this is all laid out. Trevor Friederberg heads up our region. He's based out of Muncie. You guys can cover this with anybody you want, and they'll tell you the same thing 5 times over. So Amy's went into this. They gathered all the invoices from 2023. I don't know, part of it was even 2022, but all of 2023, and then we've got ones ready for 2024. So we can access all our funding for the $1 million for 1.0, so that's taken care of, and the region's taken care of for 1.0 to get over the threshold. And then there's also $2 million that's been allocated to the county that we're not completely sure is going to be, I need to be politically correct when I handle this, how I handle this. Could $2.0 dollars will most likely still be in play from the county perspective that Vision Corner would be eligible for. So in essence, we could get a lot more funding from the Ready 2.0 fund after already getting funded also from 1.0. So because the project meets all the boxes. It checks all the boxes from education, blight, all that stuff.
I think everybody loves the project.
Right, and it's been, we've
I'm
just...
just a money guy.
Yeah, no, I get it. I appreciate that. Trust me, I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing this monster for 4 years now, and it's tiring, for sure. Ignorance is bliss, because I don't know that I wouldn't have sold my house and moved out of this community 4 years ago if I knew what was ahead of me. And I'm being honest. So anyway, what we're going to do is get the 1.0 dollars secured, and then wait patiently for the 2.0 dollars availability, and then apply for those as well. So trust me, my vision is to recoup every last dollar as well, because we're not in debt or anything. That was general fund sitting there, but we want to refill that. But at the same time, I want to refill it because I want us to plan for the next project going down the road. I don't want to just sit there and sit on a hoard of cash and have it do nothing.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of others. We've got a bond issue on a subdivision.
Yeah.
Pay on.
Well, and so I mean, and there's other things too that
we got a south loop.
Exactly.
And that's important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Absolutely is.
And that's going to cost us a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there's good reason to have every last dollar back in our coffer that we're going to go after. But make no mistake, I mean, we can go back to that if you guys want to.
Yeah, right.
That's a lot of green paint.
Yeah, I get.
So,
Have to be a different color.
is there
I like green.
is there any projection on when the 1.0 money would be? What's our expectation of seeing
HWC told
that?
us last week over the next month
Okay.
because
So we're getting close.
we've already submitted the invoices to them.
Right.
They're reviewing it and they're getting ready to submit them to IEDC.
Okay. So we're looking at the $1 million fairly.
Yes,
soon.
very soon. Yeah, yeah,
I think that's a good.
yeah.
I mean,
That's
that
a,
helps a lot.
yeah, yeah, it does.
And
I
then,
mean,
like
that's
I
a
say,
starting point.
by doing that, that's broken the log jam on the whole district. So, quite
Yeah.
frankly, everybody ought to be pretty happy about that because that's moved things forward for the whole district. at
Yep,
that point.
yeah. That means we got 1.4 million out of the 1.05 round.
Yeah.
And then additional funding, 2 million or 2 million out of 2.0 is what we're hoping for. So anyway,
I feel a little bit better.
well, trust me. However you feel, multiply it by infinity, and that's what I've had to deal with for 4 years. Because it's been a painstaking process. It has. But the thing is, again, what's the old saying about nothing gained or whatever? I can't remember how that
Nothing
phrase.
ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah, what's that?
Nothing ventured, nothing
Nothing
gained.
ventured, nothing gained. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've done the nothing ventured route for a long
No,
time.
I
in
don't
the
want
law.
to imply that
That's it.
I still think it's a great project.
I appreciate
I just
that.
want to make sure that we don't bankrupt
Amen.
the city
Yep. Nope.
to
Right
get
on.
it done.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Absolutely
We've
not.
got streets, we've
Absolutely
got that
not.
South Loop we talked
Yep.
about, we've got that subdivision out there that we've got to do something with.
Yep.
We can't just sit on it.
Yeah.
The Rock House project, that was a great idea, but we're founder.
Mhm.
You know, it's just not going anywhere. We've got to figure out a way to make that work.
Yep.
We've got too many things
We're trying.
for guys like me not to worry.
Yeah. Well, words not going to help you. And we've got what? We've got stakes in the ground finally, and electric posts in the ground out there where the first house is finally being built, and we got 3 coming in behind it this spring finally. So I know we've been saying that ad nauseum, but you know they said they went through the same thing at the golf course years and years ago. You know, and now it's filled. And I'm not saying we've got a golf course out there, but we've got a nice plot of land really close to the school district and right close to the highway, and it's what was the plot of land I think that the previous mayor had even designated or stated, you know, could be our next development. So we're staying at it.
That was in the 2.0 application too, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, the housing, correct.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the money that
I'm sorry.
Susan Linder, 504 North Columbia Street,
Thank you.
I'm just continuing on with this. So anything that we pay on this vision corner, and I'm for this too, so I'm just asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for this too, like the 55,000, where's that, is coming out of the general fund? This disbursement that was in the, anything that we pay, was that a payment? This 55, which,
Let me
Is
pull
that on this?
Most of those.
Where you at?
Most of those were coming
Page
from
35.
edit funds,
or
weren't they?
36? I mean, do you guys have to vote on that? Where the payments come? And
No.
you keep track of it to
We
pay it
look at it
back?
all the time.
The general
Yeah,
fund?
I mean, we know, we've got, it's tracked as far as the
That's
total,
all my
yeah.
question
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
To make sure
Wait,
that it's
page 35. Can you guys help point that out where that's at?
on the budget part,
What's the heading?
it's under general fund, I believe.
Appropriation report?
Yeah.
Page 35. Pages. Can't even see the
Fund
pages are
report.
stapled.
It's really page 2,
Page what?
and it's under vision 4.
Page 30. Oh, my pages aren't numbered right.
The
2-4.
I think you're looking at one thing, they're looking at something
Oh,
else.
2-4.
Yeah.
I only have.
Can I see what you're looking
Yeah.
at? 'Cause that's not matching up with what I'm looking
Oh, I think I see what it is. You said on Vision Corner, the disbursed month to
Yes,
date?
yes.
at. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that wasn't just dispersed, but it's what's year to date.
Yeah, it's year to date. so.
Okay. No, I thought it was for this one. I was like, I don't remember
No,
seeing
for
that
year
in
to
there.
date. So
Okay.
that's what I didn't
Okay,
know.
I got you. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, but thank you. I
So-
appreciate the clarity.
That's just my question. So it's year to date, this year. Anything that comes out, you're keeping track, and it's gonna get paid back when we get that money.
Right, correct.
That's my question. Sorry.
No, it's a good question.
I mean, I think
Right.
people wanna know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've said this a number of times, but I found out the average person has to hear something 7 times before they.
I understand it, because this is so, I mean, I was on the council for 7
Yep.
years, and
I'm sure you got a question on the stuff that you'd said
I'm
before.
thinking, well, this is still looking strange to me.
And you can sit and participate in the thing and follow along perfectly and understand it and vote in good conscience. And 3 months later, a question comes up. You're like,
Yeah.
what did we talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
that's what
yeah,
this
it's
is.
just human nature.
So,
I'm glad
thank
somebody else does that too.
that was it.
Nice
Yep,
jumping back
thank you.
time a little bit.
Any other questions?
Chad, I just wanted to say real quick that
Yep.
that reminded me when she did that or had that the packets that we have are available
Mm-hmm.
online
Yep.
as of 9 o'clock, between 9 and 9:30 on the day of the meeting.
Yeah.
On the app, if you got it.
Yeah, so
That's
if
what I got.
anybody wants to see what we see,
Yep. Yep.
transparency, so.
Yeah. Page every page of the packet. So.
Yep.
Okay, I just have small potatoes. There is things on the other side of South Street. We have 340 South Columbia Street. We have the big White House on the corner. They're looking just as trashy as they ever did. Is it true or not true that if my neighbors throw out 3 mattresses, broken furniture, paint, and some other things, and just set them on the curb, are the city still picking them up or not?
I don't know anything about this.
Well, I'm telling you, right, yeah, I can take you to my house. There's 3 mattresses, paint cans, broken furniture, all stacked up, waiting
Right.
on somebody to pick them up. And the last time they did this, it sat there for a month and a half.
I will get with our ordinance officer.
I mean, it's,
It,
and spring's coming, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has marvelous neighbors.
If you won't mind, could you, before a month and a half would pass, it shouldn't be there more than a week. So after a week passes, please notify us, because otherwise we don't know. I don't drive up and down every street, and a lot of our folks don't either, unless there's a specific reason to, and we want to
I
know.
live right next door.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We want to know this, because you shouldn't have to deal with that.
Well, not just the gentleman that bought Jack Wright's old house, and he's fixing it up. He's going to try to rent it or sell it. And him and I had a conversation. He's going, I made the biggest mistake I ever made. What are we going to do with this? I said, I have no idea. I've been fighting it for years.
Yeah, 340's been continuing.
340 is a mess. And spring's coming. So I'm sure I'm not the only person that has undesirable neighbors. How correct is that?
Jack Wright's place. What?
Jack, what is it? 342, I think.
Okay, because I want our ordinance officer to speak with him as well, so he has a direct link to call us, because I don't want things to be sat on for a month and a half.
Well, I mean, him and I were just having a discussion, and we were both going, because he's having trouble with trespassing and things, and I don't seem to have that problem. I guess I've been her, and I don't care.
Well, I will get with our ordinance officer post haste.
Well, I mean, it's still there, and it's not getting any better. I know it's on the other side of South Street, but
Yeah, Bob.
At one time, wasn't Best Way sending like the compactor truck around? And then throwing, furniture and junk in the back?
Yeah.
We
You,
have the
you notify them of large pickups.
We have the large item.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll come by and pick it up. But that's what I'm saying. If they've not been called though, it's
They
just gonna
have to be
sit there.
called to do that?
Yeah,
Yep.
you can call.
Yeah, they
I
won't.
didn't know if it was just like a monthly thing or.
Yeah, they won't just pick it up unless you.
What is M&L? Is M&L? Is that what you said?
M&L.
What company? Who do we call?
Best one.
Best Way.
Best Way.
Yes.
Their phone number's right on your.
Trash
Yeah.
can.
Right. No, I heard something else and I'm confused.
Any other questions? All right. Our next council meeting is Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m.
This month.
And the next Board of Public Works meeting is also Monday, February 24th at 1:45 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.